I haven't done it. I stopped by one of the classrooms. You want me to tell her what you just told Really?
Lights.
Oh, you want those lights off?
The audience lights? Or, yeah, that's fine. All right. Hey guys, welcome to the first ever Deathsquad secret show live from the Comedy Store. Welcome to the Comedy Store. This is our first time here, guys. How you guys doing tonight? I'm Brian Redban, the founder of the Deathsquad Podcast Network, and I'm here with my good friend and fellow Deathsquader, Jayson Thibault. How you doing, Jed?
I'm doing good, everybody. How are we all?
I hope
more people are going to be filing in, I assume.
Yeah. Now, we learned a lesson. Maybe not have a free show, because then people get free tickets and then just sleep freely at home.
And like, I'm too stoned.
Yeah. That's not a good idea, probably. But then that's what's cool about it. It's a free show, so who fucking knows what we should do?
I mean, it's not free.
Right. It's not free.
You guys pay like $65 to park, right?
Yeah.
You walk half a block, so it's $45. You save $20, walk half a block in the rain. Congratulations.
Right. So this is going to be an experiment. Half of this shit I just built in the last couple hours, and so I haven't even ate yet today, T. I woke up late. I ran around to about 1,000 different stores. It's going to be an experiment. So
it's a rarity because right before the show, I go, Redban, do you have a cigarette? He goes, I only have one left. And I'm like, wow, you really were busy today. Because usually you have 9 packs of cigarettes and 40 joints on you.
Yeah, I had 2 cigarettes today.
Yeah.
I should just do this every day, and then
then you won't die early.
Now
you'll still find a way to die early. I'm positive of that, Redban.
This is something we're going to try. We also are doing wireless mics for the first time ever at the Comedy Store, which is ridiculous that I even tried to do that. We're going to do something weird here. This is going to be like a live show. We're going to have some kind of weird theme to it, but if you guys go to this every week, you're going to see us evolve from what this is to what's going to happen. First, we're going to have an artist every week. I'm friends with a lot of comic book artists and just great artists. And so what we're going to do, this is my good friend Rita.
She's shaking her head as you say she's her good friend. Now, we know each other, but we're not good friends.
You're not a good artist. Bullshit. Rita's been on a few Deathsquads before. She also is the person that draws the new Barbie, which is cool. So, you work for Hasbro or Mattel or Mattel. I don't even know who it is anymore.
Hasbro does My Little Pony.
My Little Pony.
Mattel does Barbie Monster.
All right. So I've asked her to draw a few Barbies naked, but she won't do it for me.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, off the record, she won't draw it for me. So what she's going to do is she's going to draw a few things or one thing about tonight's show. And at the end, she's going to show it to us. And then we're going to put on Deathsquad and auction it off. And then she gets all the cash. So it's a way that she can get paid, starving artist. And it's a cool way to have like a souvenir. Maybe she'll even make prints of it. Who knows? But it'll be fun to check in on her.
And it'd be cool if like all the people on that show would sign it and that kind of thing, and then, you know.
We'll sign it. It'll be like a fun Deathsquad.
Yeah, I had to warm up, so I drew your Deathsquad cat, all tank girl and sexy.
Oh, well, we need to talk about that because I had a great idea for the next Deathsquad shirt, which involves. All right, never mind. I'm gonna get that away. All right, so thank you, Rita. Rita, what's your website and Twitter and all that shit?
RitaLux.com. I have a blog. Yeah, Twitter. It's all attached.
All right, it's Rita Lux, Ritalux. Thank you, Rita. So we're going to do some segments, right?
We'll do segments, we'll have guests, and we'll also do a thing where it's like, as guests, especially when the guests are on, or in different segments, if anybody has a question you want to ask one of the guests, or anybody that's up here, just put your hand in the air, and then a la Phil Donahue, Redban, yes, Jew. You have a question? It's funny, our first guest has a fucking question right out the gate. Does this question involve yourself somehow?
No, it does not.
How do you have a microphone, by the way? I don't know.
Shit happens in Hollywood.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. What's the situation with the pretzels I left there earlier?
I'm stepping on somebody's pretzels. I don't know. Did those belong to Jew?
Yes.
Well, you have like a kind of like a
Hands is you the
pretzel fricassee going on down here with my feet. But with a spoon, you're good, Ari.
Should we invite him up on
Let's
stage?
bring him up.
All right, let's guys give it up for the very funny Ari Shaffir.
One of my best friends. The amazing racist, everybody.
Oh, no, he doesn't go by that anymore.
You know, he does. If you would have heard the way he was talking when I picked him up at the airport today, he still is the amazing racist.
What are you talking about? I didn't say anything wrong.
You can pull that out if you don't want to look like you're sucking a dick all the time. That's actually, I like you bending in and making that move.
What did I say racist?
You called someone a kike today.
Yeah, why were they kiking it up all over the place though? It wasn't like it was out of the blue. Yeah. It's all based on stuff.
Like, they're driving like a kike, and I go, that's ironic that you would say that because you're in the passenger seat like a total kike.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
What does kike mean?
Wait, what was that
What
question?
does kike mean?
What does kike mean?
Kike was a derogatory term for Jews that never really caught on.
Where does it come from? Do you know?
Yeah, in the old Polish shtetls, they had...
What are shtetls? I have a question.
There's always time for that to catch on.
What are shtetls?
Shtetls are villages, elitist villages, where we don't, we pretend we're poor, but...
So like Orange County?
Yeah, things like that.
Orange County would be a shtetl.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Manhattan Beach
People to speak to
shtetl.
their own, yeah.
So they started randomly saying...
What were we talking about here?
Wow, how stoned are you? You forgot the question right after the question was asked.
Wait, hold on, let me see if I remember it.
What's a shtetl? Well, before we got on the shtetl tear,
Yeah.
where does kite come from?
Oh, that's what it was. That was what it was. Yeah. In the shtetl, they had a guy. Everyone had a different job, and the guy's job in the shtetl was to the guy who was supposed to deal with outsiders. The word for outsider is kike. So this guy had a kike.
In Polish.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so then they dealt with him. That became like derogatory. They were like fucking kike.
Anytime you go fucking before something,
sounds
it
weird.
makes it bad. This fucking white guy. Then you're like, wow, white guys must be terrible.
None of that's true. I have no idea where it comes from.
Is shtetl a real word?
Shtetl is a weird.
Okay, all right. I was like, wow, you just made up a whole fucking thing there.
J.R. Tolkien up here, motherfucker.
I'm impressed with that.
I make up worlds.
Who shot J.R.R. Tolkien?
Now, Ari has his own podcast called The Skeptic Tank that originally started on Deathsquad, and now it's become way more successful since he
Giants lost.
I have a question for Redban.
Yeah.
Are you resentful that he left Deathsquad and then his podcast blew up?
No, actually...
It was already up. There were already listeners.
Yeah, there was already listeners. But no, there's a few people that have left that I'm like, dude, he needs to leave and do this on his own. And Ari is one of the ones that did it because of... I mean, he lives... right here in Hollywood, and there's so many times where he could just have people come over to his house or
smoke a joint and talk shit.
Right. And some of the podcasts are good with video, some are not. But it doesn't matter. You know, I thought that.
Yeah.
Are you happy on your own? Do you find that it's harder than you thought?
It's hard to get people to come do it. I hate asking people.
And what about the how long it takes to do it every episode?
Yeah, I don't. Oh, with the new computer, it's so much faster.
It is faster.
When it took me like an hour and a half just to test, it takes like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you can just.
Yeah, me and Ari both recommend getting solid state drives.
I haven't even put it in yet.
Oh, you did?
It's just a new computer.
Oh,
it's so fucking old. I'm surprised that it died. It died right after I got home from New York. It was like, bye.
Do you have a couple like favorite how many podcasts have you done ballparking of Skeptic Tank?
How many episodes?
Yeah.
90.
Do you have like a couple that stand out like these are my favorites? These are the ones. I know the Tiana one caught on like wildfire.
Yeah, people like that.
Everyone likes to hear a girl get her heart broken.
Yeah, why do people like that so much?
Because she got swindled by a fucking buster.
Yeah, so we're like, well played. What we win?
Yeah. Girls listen to it like, I knew men were like that.
My favorite episode was the one where Peter Plopper was on. The guy dressed up as Spider-Man.
Peter Porker?
Peter Porker.
Because he just want to talk about hookers?
Yeah,
I like
and
that
I
a lot.
learned more from that episode than I think I have in the whole life.
He just fucks hookers.
Yeah. And there's tips. Like, I didn't know you can go to a massage place and actually fuck somebody. I always heard hand job.
I just thought hand job too.
Yeah.
Have you ever been and done it?
Yeah.
No, I have not done it.
Have you done it?
No.
How many people here have done it? Have done that?
I've never done it. Anybody?
All right, there's people raising their... Oh, okay, I see.
Of course, yeah. The camera's not on you, so you can speak anonymously. Black on New York Yankees hat with glasses on. It looks like Urban Outfitter took a shit on his chest.
If you have the mic, by the way.
Have you ever massage parlor and like a rub and tug, or you've gone full distance? What's the price difference between the two?
Sex.
Can I ask a question?
I mean, obviously, that's...
Can I ask a question of the
course,
black guy up there?
yeah, of course.
Was the rub and tug and the sex part of one massive orgasm? Where you were able to get two completely different sperm loads out?
No, you kind of decide at the end what do you want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, whether you want to rub and tug or you want the whole thing.
So you can hang out, like get to know them a little bit.
So when you're negotiating...
This casual conversation.
When you're negotiating price, when it comes down to that, she goes, this costs this and this costs that. What were the two prices?
Well, no, it's more like you make an offer and she sees like,
Oh, interesting. Like
You're like-
price line.
She's like, listen, you can beat me off for a turkey sandwich, or you can fuck me for a turkey sandwich.
more or less, yeah.
So if anybody has a turkey sandwich on them, I think we know.
I want to do that one day. Just try one, like Burke Williams or
You've
something.
never gone. A Burke Williams.
No, you can't do it. No, the place at the mall.
You can't
where
do it.
You can't go
sit
like
there
high
this,
end, like...
and they put a towel over you. And
No, not the nice ones. But seriously, I want to stop by one. They're all, that's what Einstein told me. Just any one of them. It's not like legitimate, like chain business that they're all doing.
I have good friends that shall remain nameless for reasons of this is going on the internet. But if you ever ask Jeff Richards from Saturday Night Live about, I mean, he is like a connoisseur of,
Really?
you know what I mean? Yeah. He's like, if you ever want to go shopping for Air Jordans, get like a well-to-do black friend of yours to go with you. And be like, dude, which ones are the baddest Air Jordans to get? And you will get the baddest Air Jordans. You'll never be made fun of at a mall for getting the dumb Air Jordans. You know what I mean? Because there's dumb Air Jordans that people are like, dude, you got those? Those are fucking shitty. He is that when it comes to the Asian massage.
The expert.
Oh, yeah. He'd be like, oh, you're going there? What a dipshit. You're just, all you're going to wind up doing is fucking a fist. And you're like, really? I don't even know. Is that good or bad? He's like, it's bad.
I think it's time to play Boon Shopping Spree. You ready for this, team?
Yeah.
Why don't you introduce?
Boom.
Yeah, introduce. Who is Boon?
I'd love to introduce Boon Shakalaka. He is a staple at the Comedy Store as well as Hollywood and San Bernardino and everywhere in between. And if you've never seen him before, when he comes up here, you'll be like, I've seen him before. And I don't know where he gets all of these things. He says he finds them from his sources. He swears he's never stolen anything in his life.
Bullshit.
And
There's no
everything,
fucking way. There's no
there
way.
is no way. And everything that he sells, no matter what it is, whether it's a Ferrari or a keychain, it's $1. So we decided, let's do a thing called Boons and Noble, where he can come up here with a few items. We can ask them about him. He's in love with a few different men that we know here at the Comedy Store.
And it's all people that have helped him out. So should I just start like flicking him off every time he goes on stage? Because I don't want to be a part of his love.
Yeah, I think it's a little late. No, because he only likes skinny white boys with big dicks. So unless you lose like 30 pounds,
It's not gonna happen.
keep eating. Yeah,
And
keep
that's the
eating, buddy.
AIDS kicks in.
You'll be good. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, to sell his first item, which we don't know what it is,
Sometimes it's $2.
but get your dollars out, ladies and gentlemen, Boon Shakalaka.
Hi, great behind you. Just like
Whoa, here we go. Great, wonderful.
Right here, make a sale?
Yeah. Do you want me to sit right here and make a sale?
You ain't gonna tell the manager that I touched you so I can get banned, are you?
Yeah, he has
I
a.
never did that to you.
He has a
Look,
problem.
bisexual guys be
Speak into the mic,
dirty-faced,
Boon.
be coming around. All
Into the mic.
bisexual
Don't- not too
comics
close,
that work
though.
up here.
Now,
Yeah, they're bisexual. I know they're bisexuals. You know why I know they're bisexual?
Why?
Because they like touching other guys that try to be in their closet.
Boone is also angry at certain people, as much love as he has.
he's very angry.
They're bisexuals. They're not homosexual. They don't act heterosexual. So I just assume they're bisexual.
What are you, Boone?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm anything that you want me to be.
See?
He's like Thibault.
Takes a lot of thought.
I've also noticed that you've shaved everything except the very tip of your lip.
Yeah, just see us on mustache.
Now-
Oh, I don't know what
There.
happened. I just...
I let my cat shave me.
Hey, Amy, can I have that other beer?
What's that?
Can I get that other beer when you come back up?
And can I start a tab and get double Jack and Coke toppings?
I'll take an 8-ball of cocaine and a fucking shotgun.
All right, Boone,
Every one night or every night?
No, dude. It all goes down tonight.
now Boone, you're
This will be the
notorious.
greatest podcast ever. I fucking get jacked up on coke and then I blow my fucking brains out right at the end of it. Trust me, you'll get downloads with that.
Boone, now you always have a collection of items that you find and you sell them here, and they're all like I've bought a lot of cool things for girlfriends
That were stolen.
that were stolen. And
Oh, talking to my...
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what this reminds me
People
of?
just
Never
be
mind.
telling me too much shit. I don't know why white people be watching Titanic
Not
so much.
white people, the black people. Why they watch that Titanic?
I knew that.
There were no black people on that ship.
Yeah, I feel like black people learned the lesson with ships a long time before the Titanic. I could be wrong. I could be
We
wrong.
cleaned everything up there at the Titanic.
Well, you know the name of the coffee that they were drinking on the Titanic?
What?
Sanka.
I knew this would never go wrong with you on here.
All right, so we got to
He's trying to perfect that joke since 1940.
I'm not that
Set it
old.
down.
we asked you to bring 3 items. Now,
3 items?
just your
To
3
try to
best
sell.
items.
You're,
I know.
you're making a sale today. It's QVC. For you
Yeah.
motherfuckers.
Well, it depends on what they're interested in. I may bring 3 items and nobody may be interested in it, and it ain't gonna sell.
If we
Well,
get
there's the
one,
drama.
Or
if
it's
you-
not gonna sell.
if you pull one item out and it doesn't sell, we'll allow you to pull another item out.
All right, so take your first item out that you have that you enjoy.
Okay. First time, does any people have any pets? Like a dog? See, that ain't
Good question.
All right, somebody's raising their hand. There is a pet owner here.
I do have a cat.
We have cats. We have a cat over here.
Anybody else? Is the young lady in the back? Both of them? What do you guys own?
Oh, yeah, she definitely has a pet. She has my little cat Techie.
Oh, Techie, I love. Oh, that's my favorite cat of all time.
Oh yeah, the flat face
He
one?
told me he got rid of Techie.
That's a pet container. He's pulled out
Oh.
a pet container.
Nobody saw that coming.
No.
I did not.
Wait, how much
On
is it?
my life, I thought that thing was full of shit for him to sell.
What?
I go down to $2.
$2.
Now we should say
Boom,
that.
show the features of this. Can I talk us through
Give us
this?
some features and details.
Yeah, let's get some details.
I have to do it with both my hands, and I only have 2 hands.
That surprises me.
And or it's zip.
Zips.
Get it there.
In zips, you put a pet or a
Carry it like
you can put a
that.
cobra. Anybody have a cobra?
I don't have the shoulder carry.
Could you carry that over your shoulder?
No, you have to carry it in your hand.
What if you wanted to carry it over the shoulder?
What did you say?
What if you wanted to carry it over your shoulder?
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to carry it. Let me give a straight here.
Okay.
Like that.
Pretend you have a cobra in there. Cobra.
Snake.
Cobras are snakes. You cannot trust a cobra.
Take care. Anybody want to?
I will say it's relatively clean. It's made by Delta.
It is a Delta airline
Delta.
pet container.
I thought Delta was the only place you fly.
It's got a side pocket for smaller animals or
I picked Ari up from Delta Airlines about 8 hours ago.
It's pretty clean. If anybody wants for $2,
Hang on,
actually.
just wait before we get into that. No, let's not be crazy.
Wait. Oh, you're going to throw in a second
Let's
gift.
not bring your art into this.
Wait, I think we got a bid up there for one.
Wait. We need to only do one item at a
Hang on,
time.
one
Item at a time?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's how we're doing
Well,
it.
if we get a bid, we can go. You happy you want it?
I have a question.
Yeah, we got a
Hey,
question.
you have the mic.
Hang on,
Remember
hold
that.
this.
I've heard that if one cat is already...
Hang on, wait for it, so they can pick it up on the internet.
What do you say?
I've heard that if one cat has already inhabited something like that, other cats will not go in.
He has peed on it to make sure that all smells of cat and dog have been retracked.
Sold.
My connection don't steal nothing that's messed up.
Oh.
I
Okay.
find that really hard to believe, Boone.
It's been guaranteed by Boon.
So do we have $2 for this
I've already
Delta?
sold this.
Oh, it's sold. Now here's the deal.
Wait a minute, I didn't tell. That came from who's from Milwaukee?
All right.
I came from Milwaukee.
I have a question for Boon Shakalaka
Yeah.
based on what he just said.
I didn't know that.
How do
I didn't
yeah.
know that.
How did I know they came from Milwaukee?
Yeah.
They tell me where they go to.
Who are these connections, dude?
I'm not supposed to tell you.
He told me, listen to this.
What's your dicks taste like?
This is honestly what he said to me. The other when there was the Hurricane Sandy hit New York, he walks up to me here and he goes, "This hurricane's messing up all my imports." And I'm like, "You got shit coming from New York that you're selling for $1?" Yes,
How does he make it up for the shipping? I don't get it.
I
bro.
do not know.
They take care of that. As long as they give them their profit.
Okay.
Oh, so you're cutting someone
We're
in
not
on
doing the
$1?
We're not doing the second thing. We're going to wait till
Yeah, we're
later
gonna
in the
wait.
show.
We'll do it
So,
next-
hey guys, give it up for Boon here. He'll be back. He has some more items to sell.
Boone's and Noble, everybody. I will. I'll call you back in just a little bit. Don't go too far, Boone.
Okay.
Thanks, Amy.
We do have a.
We have a way we can go with this, which is you have now bought something from Boon Shakalaka for $2. Which congratulations. And you may or may not even have a pet.
I think it's not even a cat carrier, but I'm cool with it.
Okay.
What is it?
It's some kind of carrier. You can it's a gerbil farm or something. You can keep that,
Or
or you can take what's in the mystery bag and give that back to Boone.
Now you have to understand that this mystery bag either contains something awesome or something you really don't want to even fucking touch.
Should I say now what I want?
Yes, of course.
Well, you have to mic that to you.
I want the
Mystery bag, ladies and gentlemen.
I have a question for later.
Yeah. What's the question, Ari? Well, he's getting the mystery bag already.
I just want to know why no one has made a
Where did the
Boon
mystery
Yelp
bag?
I
site.
think Boone stole the mystery bag.
Why is no one yelping Boon as a service and as a store, Thibault?
Well, that's a
We
great.
should be having those
You can
reviews.
Yelp
and stuff.
Boon, yeah.
Reviews of the stuff we bought.
I've bought a lot of things from him.
Like
Where'd it
surprisingly,
go?
it
It's
lasted
right there.
really well. Or it had lice in it.
No, really.
Here we go. I got it.
Oh, are you sure that you didn't steal it? All right.
But I can understand why you would think that he would. So, I'm going to reach my hand in the mystery bag for you. Would you like to do it yourself?
No.
You're gonna trust me.
Usually you can do it.
All right, he's reaching into the mystery bag. And by the way, we're supposed to have mystery boxes, but we're going to do that soon.
Okay, congratulations on this. I hope you have one of these because you just got some Fleshlight Anal Lube. Thank you very much. We will be taking back the cat box. And if you have an anal fleshlight, you are going to town tonight.
You know what somebody suggested?
I feel bad about that, because I actually think the carrier is way better than anal lube.
Hey, dude, that's the fucking way it goes with the mystery bag.
Give him some Deathsquad stickers. I feel bad about that.
I'm very happy with the loop.
He is happy about the lube.
I feel like you came up on that. I feel like, you know, you don't even have a cat.
What's your question, Ari?
No, it's not the Yelp account.
Oh.
I think we should be yelping Boon more often.
Does Boone have a Yelp account?
No, but we need to like make one for him so we can start reviewing his products.
Somebody else set up a Twitter account, Dan Violet, who's in love with, set up a Twitter
He
account
needs
for
to tell
him.
him to take
And he was trying to get me to explain Twitter to him, which was quite laborious.
Give me a ride
'cause
to Twitter.
He doesn't even understand the internet. So I was explaining to him, these are the people that follow you. And he's got a lot of followers. He doesn't even have a real account. And he was going through, somebody had something called, like, I don't even know what it was called, Britney Spears Chucker or Britney Spearsley, or wasn't really Britney Spears, but it was some play on words with Britney Spears. Britney Spears follows me? And I was like, oh, geez, this isn't going to go good. And now he's obsessed because he thinks Britney Spears is obsessed with him.
Hey, let's bring up
like a second Keith scenario.
All right, let's bring out our next guest. This guy is one of the funniest comics that I know, and one of the nicest guys in the.
Just one of the nicest.
If you ask any comic who is one of the nicest comics, like this is on the top 5 list. He's done more for comedy and more for friends of ours than anyone I know. Guys, give it up for the very funny Russell Peters, guys.
Russell Peters.
Hey, fellas.
You ever get sick of being introduced as a nice guy?
I don't know. I don't think people know I'm a nice guy. I think they just assume I'm a cock.
Oh, no.
Really?
I don't know. They don't know me.
Well, who would assume you're a cock? You're such a nice guy. Have you done any cock-like things to people? Have you what's the meanest thing you've ever done to somebody?
I don't know. I mean,
recently, not like as a little kid, but like.
You use the excuse that your ex-wife's coming over with the daughter. You got to leave.
That's not bad.
You know that excuse?
That's up there.
That's the worst thing you've done in a while.
It's only because she just kept talking, and I'm like, Jesus, shut up. Fucking fall asleep like the rest of us. And then, that didn't work out.
Now, where'd you grow up? You grew up in, so people don't know, where you grew up
in
Canada.
Toronto.
Yeah, Canada, right?
Yes, ma'am, sir.
And then, like, all of a sudden, like, you were one of those people where it's like, and I mean this no offensive way, but like, you got this international kind of fame before you got any kind of American notoriety. True or false? Yeah,
that's how it works.
How did that happen? How did that happen for you?
I think it would have been YouTube.
Yeah.
Around 2004 when it first started. And
right.
Then I went from being a regular road comic, just making a couple of grand a weekend, to things going really well for the next 8 years, 9 years now. And
it's incredible.
Was that your clip on YouTube that went, or did somebody else put that up there?
Somebody else. I still to this day don't know how to upload shit to YouTube. I'm a horrible Indian.
So somebody else really put up some of your stuff on YouTube right when YouTube started, and it caught on like wildfire.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Have you communicated with them like, thank you for changing my fucking life?
There is no way of figuring out who did it.
Really?
No way.
You tried?
We've tried.
Wow.
We've tried locating and we can't figure it out.
They are so resentful right now.
I met the guy that started YouTube and gave him a hug on the red carpet one day.
I bet you did.
Some Asian guy. I was on I go, who's that? Because the media were talking. They go, that started YouTube, and I just grabbed him and hugged him. He was like, who's this? I go, thanks for making me rich.
You know, because that's what's interesting about like social media is like all these people like if you look at like Dane Cook, like MySpace changed his life.
Mm-hmm.
He was the first person with 1 million friends. It wasn't Tom.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm going to focus on this to blow my shit up, and it really, really did.
I still don't know how to do that. Though.
Right.
I just kind of let it.
You focus on Twitter? You focus on Twitter, though.
I'm not good on Twitter. My tweets are shit.
How many Twitter followers do you have?
I think like 280,000.
Jesus Christ.
But my tweets are shit. Like they're like I'm aware that my tweets suck.
Hang on,
and it's so funny because people will be like, I'm unfollowing you. Your tweets are boring. I'm like, well, I didn't fucking ask you to follow me. It's free, you fucking tard. What are you doing? Like I don't need to. I just, if like these guys tweet funny shit, then I retweet it. I'm like, see, I'm just showing you what's
people.
funny.
Yeah. But the YouTube thing just changed your life. How quick from like you had some videos that went viral. All of a sudden it really changed your bank account. All of a sudden you're like, wow, holy shit, everybody's booking me all over the world.
I'll give you an example. This is how I know it happened somewhere around April or May of 2004.
Right.
In February of 2004, I played DePaul University in Chicago, and 13 people came.
Wow.
Now, how long at this point in time, in 2004, had you been doing stand-up?
15 years.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. I'm 23 years in now. So
2004 is really recent. Okay.
Right. So, 15 years then. And so, 13 people came to the show in 2004 in February. And then in November of 2004, I went back to Chicago and sold out some theater for 4 nights.
Wow.
And it was like an 800-seater or something, but it blew me away. I was like, but I just got $700 in February to play 13 people, and I had to get my own flight and everything.
Right.
And I felt bad taking the $700. I'm like, fuck, nobody came. And that's why when they were like, do you want to go back to Chicago? I'm like, not really. They don't like me there.
What's your biggest market in the United States, if you had to choose one?
I would say New York would be the biggest one for me.
There's a lot of people there.
A lot of people in New York. And
Yoshi used to say that you were like soccer. You were a big everywhere but in America.
Yeah, I am like soccer, but without the big paydays.
Well, internationally, what's your biggest like city when you go to a certain, other than your hometown or anything like that, other than Canada, exclude Canada, exclude America. When you go to a certain country or city, you're like, I know I'm gonna blow this shit up.
London, England is always huge for me.
Yeah.
Tickets went on sale today for Australia. And the count came back at 11,000 tickets today.
Jesus Christ.
11,000? 11,000. From today?
What the fuck? Wow. Hang on, let me do something. Put stand up on YouTube. Okay.
No, but that's the problem now. People do it like, they put their shit on YouTube and they're like, think it's a shortcut. And I'm like, no, fool. I've been doing this 23 years now. This is what I did before the internet.
Right.
Did you see that YouTube video that's going around right now where there was a heckler in the comic when the guy goes to the bathroom, starts going through his jacket that he left on the seat, and he finds cocaine inside the guy's jacket.
What was that?
I don't know. I just saw somebody tweeted it to me.
They should have stolen it.
Yeah.
They probably did.
They
probably pitched some of it.
Come back and there's just lines on the stool.
My nose is too big for fucking cocaine.
Now, do you ever...
You know what I'm saying.
I know, yeah, it's like...
That is so not true. As a reformed coke addict, there's no such thing as a nose. I always wish my nose was bigger. I'm like, if I was just snuffleupagus and I could just...
I turned down cocaine for my first time 2 days ago. I couldn't believe there was so much cocaine at the
That's not true. I've offered you coke a lot in our fucking friendship. And you're like, but I just realized you don't do coke.
No, I usually, when it's given to me, I usually do it. But for the first time, I was like, I just don't feel like doing that anymore.
Right.
Yeah, thanks. That's not a good thing.
All right, Sade.
Now, Russell, you're a huge DJ also. Like, that's all you do all the time. That's one of my favorite things that I know about you.
That's my favorite thing to do.
Do you ever think about like doing that at live comedy shows? Maybe like
no, because it's not funny.
But it's kind of cool. Maybe.
It's cool, but
it's funny if you're
funny.
terrible at it.
Yeah, like if I suck, it'd be hilarious. But you know,
what if you just spun a rim shot at the end of every rim
shot? I scratched it to like
bam. Yeah. Okay, everybody.
If I could just get a cymbal, I could probably create the with a cut. I could do it with a cut.
What did you start doing first? DJing or stand-up?
DJing in '85. I started DJing and boxing in '85.
Oh, I didn't know you had a boxing background.
9 years.
Wow, no shit, huh? How many times have you been knocked out? You got a nose, it's like, if I'm boxing this guy, I'm like, I'm going for the nose.
I would get, honestly, when I was training when I was a kid, my coach would give me a hard time. I would get headaches because he would make me fight like this. So I'd have to keep my head down so I'd look up. He goes, I'm getting a fucking headache, coach. He'd be like, well, you got a big fucking nose. You need to tuck that thing in. So I would literally...
You really tuck the nose.
And it became very flexible. That's the good thing about it.
I mean, you've been knocked out before.
I've been knocked down a couple of times, but not out
like
cold.
Flash knockdowns, like.
Well, you know, one more punch and you're going to sleep.
Yeah.
So if a smart fighter takes a knee, it's not so much smart. I just don't want to get fucking knocked out cold, so I take the knee.
What's do you have like a record of like I was like 23 and 14?
No, I was the perennial sparring partner in the gym.
Because of that nose, bro.
It's the nose. I don't like competition, so I didn't want to.
I got a message today. I don't know if DJ Mixmaster Mike from the Beastie Boys wants to do a podcast, and Rogan can't do it. So I'm like thinking about, all right, should I?
I would love to do. Mike's fucking ill.
Would you like to be? I might get together a podcast this week with him. So you want to be a part of that?
He's ridiculous.
Yeah, so that would be cool.
He's a guy I used to watch. You know.
Dude.
Yeah, he was part of the Rocksteady DJs in the early '90s.
Yeah.
Innovators, like they were fucking...
he was part of, he was down with Qbert and Apollo and those guys.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm talking French to everybody else right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
All of a sudden we're in Canada.
All right, I think it's time for another Boons and Noble. What do you guys think about that? All right, here we go.
Boon, should we slide over so I can pass it?
Selling his next product.
No, he could stand up.
No, I think he can stand right here on my screen. You're good. Where is he? He's probably asleep, or he might be outside picking people's pockets. I don't know why people be...
All right, so
before he gets here, let me read, because I write down all the random things that he says to me.
There he is.
All right, he's right behind you. Again, he's always behind Thibault.
If I ever get married, I want you to throw rice at me. Any kind of rice. Fried rice, rice-a-roni, just rice.
More rice, fried rice, Rice Krispies.
Hey.
If he ever gets married, I'm throwing some fucking Rice Krispies right at his face.
Want another sale? See what I have? Okay,
You want to see what else is
I
there?
know that's right.
Hey Boon, you showed me a picture, by the way, of a sunset once. It's still hanging over my toilet.
Oh.
He sold me a book called What is a Jew?
Wow.
Yeah. We got some
This will
shoes
go.
here.
We have a shoe.
I feel like the guy that bought the last item might buy this item. I could
Oh
be
yeah,
wrong.
you might be right.
Boon, do you have another shoe with that?
Some sort of haunted shoe.
And it's autographed by.
I think
Seven.
it's size 7. Okay.
What's it smell like?
Seven,
Man?
okay.
Smells like it don't smell like the one you wear.
Don't smell.
They are pretty cool looking shoes.
Smell like a payphone.
Those are pretty nice shoes.
Yeah.
For the audio listeners,
It is. I think that it is a US 7, a Euro 38.
is there a brand here?
Yeah,
What
it's called a Poetic License
poetic license?
from London.
They're green.
Now,
and
these don't look like they've been worn.
Green
They do not look like they're from Milwaukee.
They look like they've been dry cleaned.
Question.
He found it. He found.
Size 7.
He found them at a car accident.
We got another question over here.
They got it from the back of the stock of the store.
Yeah, I don't really
Back
care
of
about
the
the
stock
shoes,
of the
but
store.
Is there more anal lube in the
Just
mystery
usually
bag?
right
No, there's no more anal lube, but there might be something that goes along with the anal lube.
there. Dun, 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 dun.
Food for the night.
So,
It's a hand wipe.
first of all, before we sell these, is there any women or are there any women that are a size 7?
Or any guys?
Any women with a
Are there
size
any
7
guys
willing
that
to
are
get
a size
athlete's foot?
5?
If you think they're gross, they're not really as gross as he is. They're like a step up. They haven't
Wear
really
them for
been
the
worn at all.
upcoming St. Patrick's Day.
Coming in
Oh.
April.
If you're going to a nice event at St. Patrick's Day, these are
Always working, this guy. Always working.
Boon, you have not worn these, right?
Maybe if your friend is a shamrock or a
Maybe
leprechaun, you could maybe buy them for him.
So,
All right, so let's
I
start.
feel like you've poorly chosen what you're going to
Everybody
sell
wants
at a Deathsquad show.
any nice
We'll
lady
see.
with a 7-foot size.
7 foot?
How much are they, Boon?
Hey, what size are you?
Okay, I would think to drop to 1 at this point. That girl,
Oh,
Buck in the back, we have $1 over here.
We got a buck over there.
Is that $1 per shoe?
would you take
No,
a dollar?
This pair of shoes.
Oh, we got $2 over here.
Is there a mystery bag option?
Yes,
Yes,
of course.
yes.
Every time there's a mystery bag option.
And let me tell you, there's some really cool shit in some of the mystery bags. What you saw was just the shitty shit.
The shitty shit.
Don Barris, what size is Mary Jane?
What?
Oh, wow.
That's a crazy
Wow.
coincidence.
Does she have
Not
St.
anymore.
Patrick's Day plans?
Man, she must have a
Is
huge.
she willing to cut her toes off for $2? Is that an option, Don?
Jayson, Thibault,
Yes.
I will forego the mystery option if Mary Jane wants the shoes, and I will pay $2.
But there's 7 on them.
Well, she's a 9. She
I
can
mean,
put a 7.
I think this comes down to do you want $2 or not? Just let's.
Okay, well, whatever.
Okay, now we're
His
back at
return policy's not so great.
it. Now, do you have a return policy? Great question, Russell.
That depends on if there's something wrong with them. That they don't
What if we're buying 1 for an amputee? Like say there was an amputee,
Yeah.
and she only needed
She
1
only,
shoe.
yeah, she only had one leg. Her other leg was just.
Missing.
Yeah.
Did she just hop around in one shoe?
Does that
So
confuse you or
creepy.
does it stump you? Hey, all right.
International superstar. Everybody be cool. Don
Rich
Barris.
bitches. I don't care.
Question, Don Barris. Question, Don Barris.
I don't think Boon is really pushing it. They're green shoes.
Yes.
Red and green are Christmassy, and Christmas
Oh.
is
The
right.
Christmas thing.
Oh, well, then this is green for Christmas.
Boon, do homeless people celebrate Christmas?
Or you can wear them.
That's a good question.
Well, they don't celebrate homecoming.
Who said that?
Fatality, Russ.
They don't celebrate on
You want these shoes, man?
All right, so we're up to $2.
We're up to $2 up
It's
here.
one of those bags.
Is that go? $2. $2. Anyone got $3? $3. You got $3?
You going 5?
No, no.
That's good.
What? Wait, what?
$5.
$5, Boon.
$5 going once, going twice. Sold. Oh,
That's it.
I want to know if I pay more, will he wear them on stage next time he plays?
If I could pick them, but I can't pick them.
oh.
You can if you.
Hey, see if you got to get on those audience. I can run over there, but
Trying to kill my feet or something?
I believe we have a $5 situation.
$5 situation.
I don't know why I'm even handing him to him, because I know he wants the mystery bag. And we're bringing the shoes right back to Boon.
What? Get her to get them for $1, then he'll make $6.
That's interesting. That's an interesting. Boon, you might want to make a side deal. How
Yeah,
that's for
there's
you.
$1 right over there.
You're killing it tonight.
What? That's
The beautiful
This
blonde
time we're
that
going to let
owns
you
my
go
own
into the
cat.
mystery bag, and we're going to let you read what
I
you
didn't
get.
bring that bag here. I don't know where that bag came from.
You have to close your eyes, put your hand in the mystery bag. By the way, the mystery bag is going to feel a lot like my asshole, so be cool.
Just like earlier this afternoon.
Take this.
What's this? That's people know you.
Well, I get a microphone for $5.
No. No.
Take
Oh.
this. All right, here we go.
Oh shit.
Shroom. I can't see. My eyes aren't.
You got Shroom Tech Sport, bro.
Shroom Tech something.
Bataroops, bro. Frothy loads.
Is this cool or not? I can't tell.
It's pretty powerful.
What is it?
That's something that makes you ejaculate like you've never ejaculated before.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
It gives you frothy loads after a workout.
Boon just told me he would like to buy that back for $7.
But anyway, you want me to go get prepared for the next?
Yeah.
Definitely, 100%. I want you to get
And think about the audience this time, Boon.
Yeah.
There's not that.
Here, I'm gonna let you take these with you, Boon. I don't want.
Boon, go get $1 from that girl.
Did your girlfriend wear a size 7, 9? What size are they? 7?
She's like a 10 and a half.
Jesus. So she's a man, basically. She's a man.
You and her share shoes?
Huge pussy boner.
That's a RuPaul size foot.
She played college hockey. Seriously.
She played what? College men's football? What'd you say? I didn't hear that. All right, Boon. Thank you very much. We'll call you back in a little bit. Yeah. Go outside and find some more shoes outside. One time I had a birthday party up here, my 40th birthday, like in September. I had a party up here, and all my friends do stand up, and Ari and Redban, everybody was up here. And, you know, friends bring you gifts and all kinds of shit. And I'd put it all in the green room. And about 1 in the morning, he comes up with a bag of a bunch of stuff and goes, I think all this is yours. And it's like everything in there had my name on it, or it was cards to me, but like had it not, gone. Absolutely, so everything in there sold for $1.
Yep. Let's bring out our next guest, Thibault. This next guy follows this, so if you guys are like having, if you want to stay here, the next thing is we're doing a second Deathsquad podcast, the Ding Dong Show, and he is a staple here at the Comedy Store. Give it up for Don Barris.
Yeah.
Oh, why don't we have you move over?
Everybody can scoot one. I think there's 3 chairs.
Ari, there's a chair right here.
There you go.
Good.
We'll scoot one. Don Barris, everybody.
Ari's ass energy.
One of my favorite people in the world, and no shit about it. I really mean it. I've spent a decade of my life sitting in the back of the Comedy Store watching this guy and laughing my ass off.
Yeah.
It really is a comedy genius. Don Barris, everybody. Creator of one of the funniest movies, and I mean this. If you haven't seen Windy City Heat, it is.
You haven't seen it? Oh,
Hey, there's 2 movies, not like you know, like in my that I've seen in a theater. There's 2 movies that I've laughed the hardest at: Dumb and Dumber and Windy City Heat were the hardest I ever laughed in a theater.
Thank you very much, Sir Thibault. Hey, Jayson, let me ask you a quick question.
Of course, Don Barris.
A little earlier when you were describing the birthday party, you said you had all your friends and Ari. There's a reason for that.
I mean, I think that that's an obvious thing. I mean, I have all my friends here, and so is Ari here. I think that sums it all up. Pretty much says what it is, Don. I think you get that. All my friends were here. All my good friends, all my best friends, some people that really helped me out a lot, some dear friends.
By
and
the
then
way,
Ari was here too.
I would like to say one thing. Thank you, Redban, for bringing this thing here. It's about time. This is
job, Ryan.
Spectacular. And
hopefully it gets me 3-minute spots when I want 3-minute spots.
I can't believe it. You bring your podcast network here, and you asked for a 3-minute spot last night, and they turned you down.
I know. I did 2,400 people in Austin,
Really
Texas,
nice.
Saturday.
Really nice.
I can't do 3 minutes here.
But there's one thing I'll say about Deathsquad people. They drink those.
I know.
They're probably making $8 grand tonight between the 40 people that are here.
Good.
By the way, I just got back from Australia where I played in front of 15 people.
Australia to California? Were you at Long or Outback?
I was kind of making a joke of what happened before, where he sold out. Like that was the funny part of it right there. I guess a lot of you weren't here for that.
No, they were all here, Don. Every one of them.
There you go.
So, can you explain a little bit? Because what we're doing here is like we're doing this podcast on Mondays, and then it's going to lead into the Ding Dong Show, which is one of the most unique shows you will ever see. You will ever see in comedy. It is. How would you explain it? Because you created it. It takes me a long time to explain it to friends.
Well, it is now officially the longest running show in the history of the Comedy Store. It started out kind of like about 20 years ago, believe it or not, as a version, and 2 movies have come from it. The movie Windy City Heat, which you said, and
hilarious.
We did a Ding Dong Show movie, and I guess what it is I took people that are basic people, because I think everybody has funny in them. Well, I have fun, I have funny in them.
Would you describe them as basic people, Don? Basic people would be your description to them.
Average.
Just like every guy you come out across on the street.
Can I just say this?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, just to explain basic people. Was Boon Shakalaka ever a ding-donger?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so those are some basic people.
But he was too big of a pain in the ass, so I had to get rid of him.
Oh, right. You say I'm a pain in the ass.
He would come in and he would start fighting with me for no reason. Just, I think it was like his
because
time.
you messing with me too much.
He would come up here and he would just, all of a sudden, one day, it was like it was his time of month. And I swear to God, he would just start screaming, "Oh, and everybody come up to me! Why did they come up to me?" And I was just like, what the hell? And it was just impossible to talk to him.
When he drinks a little, he gets bad.
Does he drink? I never.
Oh, yeah,
when he drinks, yeah.
Oh, it's bad.
It's night and day. If he has 3 beers,
He doesn't order. The problem is he doesn't order a beer. He just gets whatever people left on the counter.
Yeah.
So,
but what he does is he'll be like, oh. So like if this is like a full beer and no one's touched it in a while, he'll be like,
well, in all fairness,
I'll be right back. Let me get a cup. And then he'll come and get a cup, and then he'll pour the beer into the cup, and then he's fine with it. But he won't touch the beer.
Well, in all fairness, he's not even here to defend himself. Maybe he should come back in here and give us answers why
he's out
that way.
He's out stealing.
Watch how fast he comes in. Well.
Nah, shit, you're about to get it done.
Now, you just had some glasses.
Yeah, but
Oh, because usually your glasses don't have lenses.
I didn't.
Well, not for a
I
dollar.
heard something about that. I heard those lenses was expensive.
But there are no lenses in those glasses.
No lenses, but the frame was expensive, and I never wear it.
Maybe you could sell them for $1.
Nope. I forgot the brand name, but I got them, but I did not hit there in another city.
Anyway, Boon.
San Bernardino, is that city?
Yes.
I did ask him once if he could dress in drag and do a video for me, and he said, "Well, I gotta go get my proper dress." San Bernardino. I mean,
He wore drag to my birthday party.
Yeah, we had to go shopping and out of the closet.
He would go shopping in the closet.
Did he happen to hear what I was saying out there?
You said something about I was pissed off or some shit.
I think he's getting mad talking
Yeah,
about
I
it.
think he is. No, do you remember when you were part of the Ding Dong Show?
Wait, but you still didn't answer that question.
What's the question you have?
About that song, when I said, I don't know what they said when they said, you don't own me, or is it you don't know me?
Okay, I don't know where this is going, but when I told you downstairs I didn't know the name of the song.
I thought you knew music shit.
All right, I do, but I didn't know that song. You're taking a line in the middle of a song. I don't know everything.
But then I got you. You don't know all the shit on music.
I never said I knew everything about
No,
music.
John, I think you know everything about music.
I know.
He'll always, that's one of his stumpers, is like, because he doesn't really fully understand like iPhones and things. So he'll always say like, do you know this song? Mary had a brand new shoe. From 1946. Look it up on your thing. He'll always tell you to look things up, and then when you can't find it on your iPhone because his information can be a bit erroneous, he'll be like, Don Barris, no. You're like his music expert.
Thank you.
Mary had a shoe. It was green satin and red sole. It was a size 7.
Perfect for St. Patrick's Day, which is right around the corner, everybody. Fuck Christmas.
When is that, in March?
April.
Yeah, March.
All the Irish.
Upcoming.
But I'm not Irish, so I don't celebrate it.
Wait a minute. You're not Irish.
No.
Let's wrap up the pot. I'm out of here. I can't be here.
This is an outrage.
Well, they don't celebrate Black History Month. The Irish people, they don't celebrate it.
You don't know black people that are Irish.
What you say?
You said, what about black people that are Irish?
They're stupid.
You are racist. You are racist.
Wow.
Black Irish are all stupid.
The Irish people do not celebrate Black History Month.
That is bullshit.
What about black Irish people?
And there's no such thing as black.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, let's say some.
Look it up on your thing. Look it up on your thing. Andy, hang on 1 second.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, there you go, Shaquille O'Neal, right there.
What about Shaquille O'Neal?
What about him?
It's an Irish name.
Yeah, he's a Muslim Irish.
The names that black people have are European names.
Maybe
where-
3 of them.
That's where Ireland is.
John,
Geographic point.
Washington, Smith. Those are not African names.
Who's your least favorite person in black history?
Least. What do you mean by least?
Who do you hate the most out of all black history?
What do you
Can
mean by
remove
least?
one person.
Who do I hate the most?
Yeah, motherfucker. I've said it 4 times.
I really can't really think of none that I really hate.
Who just gets
Oh,
on
that
there?
guy that they call from over there. They
Oh,
told
from
him
over
to
there.
stop gay bashing people. That rapper.
Oh, the Big Bashing rapper.
What's
You
his
mean
Cat
Jimmy?
Williams?
The Big Bopper?
He's from Jamaica.
Oh, Shabba Ranks?
Yeah, him.
Wow.
Very good.
First of all,
Who said Shabba Ranks?
Russell.
You okay? Yeah, wow. You really dialed him in.
I lost my
Wait,
confidence.
why-
Well, actually, it wasn't Shabba Ranks, it was Buju Banton. But
Why do you hate Shabba Ranks?
Because he bashes people for nothing.
well, that's a Jamaican cultural thing, actually.
Black history.
Yeah, they just don't tolerate it over there.
I feel like, Boon, do you have another item?
For sale?
No, just to rent. Yeah, for sale. It's $1. How much is it to rent your stuff?
I don't like that item. Do another item. No one wants
I'm
that.
gonna pass on that. Unless anybody, does that tickle anybody's fancy?
I have some CDs, but I don't know if they would be in there.
No, you gotta pick the best CD that you have.
Hey, Tony Braxton.
What is that?
You got a Tony Braxton.
Tony
That's pretty
Braxton.
nice.
A Stevie Sultress. Who will give him? How much do you want for that, Boon?
$1.
$1.
Check and see the
I don't
CD
think I've never
strips.
heard if you country and western people. Mary Black, is she country and western? Don.
Mary
I
J.
know, but she's
Black.
black.
Mary, I don't even know who you said.
Mary Black.
Mary Black. I would guess yes.
Well, as you release these CDs, give them to Don, who you agree is your musical expert.
What about the Gucci bag? You got all that shit in.
Oh,
Yeah, but the Gucci
good
bag.
point, PC.
It kind of like got depreciated because I really.
Microphone to its
Wait a
face,
minute, you
Steve.
wrote all over a Gucci bag, and you feel like this is depreciated? Jay Christ,
She's country.
L. Bruce.
Nashville.
So we got Jesus Christ and Lenny Bruce, and Curtis Mayfield,
Elliot Harris.
Lena Horne. Who's D. Scott?
Rick Scott.
Dennis Scott, you missed 3 straight free throws.
Dennis Scott from the Miami Heat.
Did you get tequila yet?
Dick Gregory. Jay Baker.
Josephine Baker.
Josephine Baker. Billie Holiday. I can't read them. Morton Anderson, maybe the kicker for the Falcons. The kicker for the Falcons, Morton Anderson, David Bilac, and then Boon Shakalaka. And then on the back, oh wow, this gets
What
even
about
better.
Mary Black?
Freedom of speech, which is good. Billie Holiday, Dick Gregory, Lena Horne, and
Nina Simone.
Nina Simone. So you feel like that has depreciated a $400 bag, your graffiti with a Sharpie. That's what I never heard to believe, Boon.
What was the owl for?
Anyway, those are CDs. I don't know what see, people may not. Here's this one.
I don't like the CDs. You got anything creepy?
It's Joss Stone. She's very young.
Oh, he's got a baby.
What else do you have besides CDs, Boon? You gotta have something.
Books.
Books?
But I don't think they're related to any
Artists?
pornography books.
Why Why does it even have to be pornography?
Thanks, Dora.
Have we done anything pornographic tonight?
Not yet.
Not yet. But you probably will.
What is that?
Susie Orman, the money book for the young, fabulous, and broke. I feel like a lot of people in this room can probably.
All right, let's do that book. Let's do that. That seems like a good one. All right, so let's start off with.
She could not look more like a dyke on this picture, by the way. If she's not licking lemons, then I'm not being off tonight at 3 a.m.
Let's do that book. All right, so let's start off with $1. Who's got $1?
I feel like whoever needs this book does not have $1 on that.
Jayson, before you go into that, I just want to say the general manager of the club, Adam eBay, just walked in.
Boom! Giants lose! Giants
lose! For about 5 years, no one respects me here.
Actually, if it wasn't for him, this show would not be possible. So let's give it up for Adam.
Adam, Michael DeBay's outside.
And as much as I bust your balls, one of my best friends in the world, Adam Egan, everybody. So
He's not outside.
I'm gonna go outside and kill myself.
I think
the Jew wants to make a bid on the book about money.
I don't want to make a bid, but I think it's time we name our power lesbian couple of the audience.
Oh, do we have one?
Yeah, right over there.
I would like to investigate. I would like to investigate the scenario here, because all 4 of you are together or not together. Don't even know each other. You guys are together as a couple. How long have you been together? About 9 months.
I'd say longer.
Ask her. Wow, what a guy answered that gets you fucking sleeping on the couch tonight.
We don't have a.
You got
Hey, you have the mic, by the way.
Boon, you got a couch?
Right.
Wake up, team.
2 years.
See?
2 years. And how did you not know that answer?
I mean, I could have guessed.
By the way, I loved you in Lost.
Dominic Monaghan.
Does he look like Monahan a little bit?
Oh, yeah, right.
Are you guys together?
No. I love men.
Oh, good. 'Cause I think I'm
We love you. We love you, Apollonia. What's your story?
I'm actually gay, so.
What?
I love it. And I was raised by lesbians, so high five.
I will totally dyke out with you.
And you're not gay?
Well,
so do you? No, there's nothing wrong with it.
Because I implied that there is something wrong with it from the way you said it.
Everybody is fabulous. Amazing. Everybody in here is fabulous.
Now,
amazing.
Has there ever been any interest from you to her?
Good question.
Actually, we were talking about that. No.
No?
Never?
How were you talking about that?
Oh, no, we were talking about
that kind of hurts your ego a little bit, doesn't it?
just a tad. I don't mean it in like a disrespectful way.
But you like, what do you like? What kind of chicks you like?
Okay?
Yeah.
Oh.
Big fingers.
That thing's freaking around right now, by the way.
What is your name in case someone doesn't know that you are gay? So you can let it come out right now.
I've come out already.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, I figured she was gay, just, you know.
Melissa, you're confident. You seem confident. She's very attractive. Both of you guys are very attractive. You guys have been friends for how long?
Actually, I met her, well, 4 months ago.
And it never crossed your mind.
No.
It never crossed your mind.
No.
You didn't even like when you were eating.
I'm going to be honest, it's crossed my mind about 5 times tonight. And I've known the two of you for about 40 minutes. So,
it hasn't left my mind.
Like, I don't know why, but I draw a line sometimes where I cap off where people are just friends and then there's more than that.
Yeah.
I do jiu-jitsu, that does it. Because we do jiu-jitsu together.
I do jiu-jitsu.
So,
You do
I would
jiu-jitsu?
love to roll with that big fucker. That jiu-jitsu.
Where do you train at?
the Rodrigo Teixeira.
is that how you guys met? Rolling around on the mat together?
Oh, wow. That's like a lesbian's
Keep talking. I'm listening. Yeah, this isn't video, is it?
Yes!
Okay,
Audio
cool.
listeners, he just reached in his crotch and grabbed his little vagina.
So I just can't believe that not one time did you ever look at her and think, I'm wondering.
I'm gonna let her take my back and
Did
then
you
I'm
ever
gonna
get her
tap
like
like a motherfucker.
Did you ever get her in like a full guard and think, if I just slid down a little bit?
Look at you going the lingo.
Good MMA jokes, good MMA jokes.
I definitely keep MMA or jiu-jitsu and personal.
All right, then do me a favor. Look her right in the eye and say, I've never thought of you as an Look her right in the eye.
I love that.
Look her right in the eye. You can't do it, can you?
I can't do it either, Don. I'm going to be honest. I don't think I could do it. But now since you've been taking like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, studying that, have you ever found yourself in a situation with a girl and she's going down on you and she's eating you out and you're like, I could put her in a triangle and choke her fucking ass out right now? Does that ever happen?
I'm always afraid of that.
Me too, me too.
What size shoes do you wear? Do you want to be the Christmas person?
You know, when I go down on a chick, I keep one arm up. So at least if she's gonna get an arm bar, she's not choking me out. Okay,
It's so specific, but so funny to people that get it. And if either one of you don't get it, you haven't studied long enough, and I'd love you to take it to my dojo tonight, if you know what I'm saying. Which means you're going to choke me to sleep.
I get it.
Is there any questions here in the audience that anyone wants to ask for any of the panel that we have here tonight?
How fun is that?
Yeah? Because I can go anywhere. Anyone? No one? Hey, let's go talk to Tennessee, who's on the Ding Dong Show that's going to be following this podcast.
And for a lot of you that don't know, Tennessee...
Deathsquad's doing 2 podcasts tonight. We're also doing the Ding Dong Show. If you guys don't know about the Ding Dong Show, it's one of the most amazing shows ever here at the Comedy Store. Don Barris has been doing this shit for a while. How long have you been doing it, Don?
Well, like I said a little while ago, about 20 years.
20 years.
Hey, you know what? I don't want to get too far into this, but, you know, Tennessee was in the Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie.
Yeah, he was.
So if you're familiar with that.
And he can also predict the weather. Can I say that, Don?
He can.
That'll take about
What's the weather going to be like?
Most of the stuff we're doing later, but sure.
Well, you all know we just had this huge rain, and I caused it to rain when I took this huge watermelon to the show that we just did, America's Greatest Show. We're hoping it'll get on television. And it was the touch-up photos, and I came through the door with that watermelon. As soon as we cut it, it started raining.
Yeah. Okay, save some of it for the Ding Dong.
Yeah, of course. Let's give it a teaser. We'll give it a teaser.
Just a little Tennessee, you would be a really great rapist.
Amy Jan.
Like, really.
Ari, that's a good point.
That is a good point, Ari.
Yeah, it's all right.
Is it all right? Does anybody want to buy the money book for the young and fabulous and broke? And if you are broke, you probably want to buy it, but you probably
Wear
can't.
size 7 shoes.
Wow, what a surprise. I feel like...
There's some more books too, if you're interested.
Oh, do you have more books?
Yeah, bring another book.
You have an iPod too, Boon. Oh, your iPod. I want to buy the book and I have a question for Russell.
Oh, we have a question for Russell. Go, hang on one second. Let me bring it over here. This question for Russell Peters, international superstar.
Russell, you're a Canadian, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm very concerned about our economic situation and considering transferring everything I have into loonies. What do you think?
It depends on how much you have.
A lot.
Well, you're good then. You're gonna have a shitload of change.
What do you think about percentage increase? I'm hedging against inflation.
The problem is that the loonie is worth more than the U.S. dollar right now.
Right.
So you would actually be losing.
No, I'm talking about an investment.
Okay.
What's the future?
Well, it won't stay on top forever.
Looney's about $1.04 right now, right?
Something like that.
Okay, where will it be? Where will it be in a year, 2 years, 5 years?
I think that's a good question for Tennessee.
Okay. All right, save some of that for the dingo.
So we'll get into Tennessee's financial advice a little bit later. We've just got another book brought up to us, and Boon, if you would like to explain this, because you know your books.
Let's do a 2-for-1 book deal.
This one's Christmas style. That's a good one. Now location. That's what I'm talking about.
You know what, Boon? I would throw in the book and the Christmas shoes.
Boon, what's that book called?
This can go for $1. It's Christmas style.
And what exactly is this book?
It's, you know, I really don't
Is this a follow-up to Size Gangnam Style?
You don't know.
And Doggy,
it shows you
the
about
original.
different
What? Doggy style, the original.
That's Kwanzaa in here.
See? Little something for everybody.
All right, let's do this. Go on. All right, $1. Who wants $1 for the 2 books? Let's do 2 books for $1.
I'm gonna bet on nobody.
You get to learn.
Dude, you get a grab
It's the
bag.
Susie
Ari,
or.
I think you should get the Christmas style
What
book.
we're doing is the Susie or.
Yeah,
Alright, so we got $1.
Young
Does
bro.
anyone want to do $2?
Here, I'll do it. I'll light it up right now.
I'll go for
In all fairness, Jesus was a Jew.
Oh, yeah.
I think you should buy the Christmas style book.
Now we're up to $2.
I'll give you $2 for a Boon.
We're going 2.
Alright, Ari's got 2. Who has 3?
Anybody have 3?
We're gonna light that shit on fire right now, right outside the door. That's exactly what I'm gonna do with it when I get it. So you're complicit in this.
No, yeah, give me the $1.
Give me the $1. You give me $2.
Because you guys are actually the first
right.
people to ever hang a black man on a cross.
I didn't do that alone.
That was the Romans. That was the Romans.
Well, the Romans set it up.
That's an extra too.
Alright, wait.
None of my
No. What's going on here? Wait.
Do with this book. If you want to wipe your ass with it, that's your
I
ass.
told you what I'm gonna do with it.
I got paid.
Ari's going in.
You got that one too.
Ari's going ham on the Christmas book. He's going Christmas ham on that.
Wait,
Now,
you guys are
light
doing,
it.
you're doing bad math here. He already said he would do
All right,
2.
before you.
What about this one? Don't you like this? This should be your
You
book.
get both books
Hey.
for $2.
No, he already has $2 over here. Ari is trying to Jew his way out of this.
Imagine that. They're not saying boo, they're saying Jew.
Oh, look, Ari's leaving the place with his book.
Wait a minute. Am I witnessing this right? Do we have, I have matches. Do we have a Jew that's about to go outside and burn a Christmas book?
Oh.
And are we going to allow this to happen?
Should be interesting. Somebody should videotape this.
Oh, well.
Get that camera off that tripod.
Alright.
By the way, on that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, Ari.
Alright, so we're going to burn a Christmas book outside.
I feel like this is not going to go.
Ari is now lighting it. And
I think we should have a live feed in here.
I feel like that's okay.
I'll describe it. Ari is now lighting a Christmas book on the stairs.
Look at him laugh.
And he's laughing and touching his dick at the same time.
I did not find that hard to believe at all.
And he put it on a yarmulke to do it.
Do you have any questions for Boon? Or,
The book is now on fire.
How long have you been in the game?
Wow, this smells horrible.
It smells pretty bad.
Why do you want it light? I don't know, because it's all plastic.
Boon, how many games have you been in?
Watch it not be able to go out.
Oh, shit. So the book is now on fire.
How are we putting that book out, though?
I don't know, but the smoke's going. All right, so the book is now toast.
Yeah, let's just shut the door and whatever happens. I got a special feeling we're all gonna have to exit that way. So no.
All right.
Literally, can you smell that?
Yeah, that sucks.
That's the smell of Christmas, folks.
All right, so let's
the smell of the Jew ruining Christmas.
Well, aren't you guys glad you came to the Deathsquad show for that alone?
All right, so let's all right, good job, Boon. I was going to. By the way, who? Oh, you bought the book. Who bought this other book?
Yeah,
do you want to buy this book?
I'm with the grab bag. I'll buy the book for the grab bag.
Okay. All right. So does anyone want to buy this book? We got $1 on this book. Trust me, this is a good. No.
He doesn't even want it. He wants to grab it.
All right, we got $2 right here.
You can't have them all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
You're just buying, guys.
Is it going to be $2?
$2 here.
You want $2 over there? You want 3?
I'll go 3.
We got $3. $3.
I'll go 4.
PDC. We got 4.
4.
Okay, 5.
5 on Pete.
$5.
Simply Red. He's also going to Simply Red. And that's actually a good album. Let me see that, Boon.
All right, we got $5 gone.
PC, $5. Now, do you want the book or do you want the grab bag?
The grab bag is an original Deathsquad shirt that you cannot buy. There's only 7 left at my studio.
But there's also one
You
more.
live and you learn for future fucking podcasts. There you go, PDC.
And I'll also let you put your hand in the bag for one more go at it.
We're doing a jig.
We don't want no jud. We don't want a jud. I'm going to buy this Simply Red up
fuck
there,
yeah.
Boon.
Half of the highlighter. Half of the highlighter that's half used, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, so we're about to end this show, but let's take a look over at Rita.
You never see these, Boon.
We got Rita going on drawing here, and holy shit, that is we got. Check this guys out.
Put it in the light.
Oh, how fat is that? How fat is that? It's awesome.
Hey, where the fuck am I?
And so she hasn't finished it yet, but she's going to finish you, Russell, and we're all going to sign this, and this is going to be on Deathsquad.tv for auction, and then she's going to get all the money because she's an awesome starving artist. So guys, give it up for Rita.
And one more time, everybody, for our guests, Ari Shaffir.
Oh, why you make me do that?
What's that?
It's airy.
Airy? Is it airy?
I'm pretty sure.
It's airy. One more time for
Yeah, it's
Ari
actually Don.
Shaffir,
It's actually
everybody.
Ari.
One more time for Russell Peters. And one more time for John Barris, everybody. Stick around for the Ding Dong Show.
We're going to have the Ding Dong Show live podcast right after this in a half hour, so stick along. Thanks a lot, guys. Stick along. Stick along.
Stick along.
Stick along. All right, thanks, guys.
Hey, guys, stick along.
You guys, thanks for supporting.
I'm just taking Simply Red, Boon.
Hey, turn off that wireless.
That's what we're okay. Here. This is the first one we did, and we just called out the first one we did, we called Russell. I mean, he's here every night, he's such a fodder, great fucking right. Every now and then, it's like, no, I just don't you just moved out here? Yeah.
Thank you so much. Awesome. It's going to get better. This is like the first time we ever did this.